and welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with your hosts, Daniel.
And Daniel.
Daniel, we just came back from a break. We filmed our last one last week. You know, we had some time off.
Not doing this again.
Okay, no, we won't. You don't want to even make this like somewhat of a running gag?
No, it's late at night.
Okay. No, yeah. So this is actually the third episode today that we're filming, and because we really wanted to get through this, and
before I can start the editing process.
Yeah, but we wanna make sure we're bringing it. And so if you're watching this live, it'll be great. And this also gives us a little bit of a buffer because we're not sure about the next few weeks of what's going to go on. But we wanted to make sure these next episodes are out for you. So if you're just tuning in, we are filming our top 100 games of all time. And that's because very recently we are reaching our 100th episode. And I think if we counted correctly, this is episode number 98. And I think we're going to end on number 100.
101.
We'll double check that. I think it's 100 though.
No, it's 101. Okay. Because the last episode that just recently released before we started filming these was episode 95.
Yeah, so this would be 100.
96, 97, 98, 99, 101.
100.
101.
You went from 99 to 101?
96, 97, 98, 99.
100.
Maybe.
So we'll figure it out.
Figure it out. Way,
it's definitely within our 100th episode. That's important.
The number 100 is the 96th episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
96, 97, 98, 99, 100.
Shit works. My math. It's late at night.
It's late at night. It's fine. We'll forgive you, but that's why we did this. And welcome back, Creative Chaos. Of course. Thank you for tuning in again. So we are going through our top 100 games of all time. We've already filmed episodes number 100 through 81, and then 80 through 61. And this episode, we're going to go through rankings 60 through 41.
And just to remind everybody, this is a special board game breakdown. It's our own personal board game breakdown. Usually we interview or we break down a designer's games. Mm-hmm. Well, this one is our personal favorite game. So this is, I don't know what episode board game breakdown, but by the time we end this, it should be our 100th recorded episode.
That's right. And so we've been doing this a little more than a year, and we're excited to bring you this list. And we iterated this in the previous episode, but I want to reiterate it now, is that we think these top 100 lists are really important. And same with our top 8 debate. You know, if you listen to our top 8 debates, you see what stance we each take on the games.
Yeah.
And our opinions for either liking them or disliking. And we're not above of, critiquing each other's lists, clearly. But we're hoping this is constructive in a way that if you see a lot of the games align with myself or Daniel's, of course, we want you to be able to see the other games that are on our list that you've never heard and check them out, because then there's a good chance that if we really like them and you like a lot of the same games, you'll probably like these too.
Yeah, all the buddy heads. That's right. We like the butt heads.
Absolutely. So, let's just jump right into it, Daniel. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready.
So, same thing. We're going to roll the die of doom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I roll another 4...
No, it's a 6. You're still going first.
I'm still going first. Number 60 is one of the heavier worker placement games on this list. And it is... I think this is the only game from this company that's on my list. And it's a local game company from Albuquerque. And that is Level 99 Games.
Oh, Level 99?
Mm-hmm. And their worker placement, do you know what it is?
It's got to be Argent.
Argent the Consortium. Consortium, right?
Yeah, I think it's Consortium.
Yeah, Argent the Consortium. Absolutely brilliant game. You are placing workers out that you are upgrading different kinds of workers for abilities. Plus, you're getting spells that you're learning, and then you're upgrading them to better versions. And the spots that you place them out on, there's like a whole timing infrastructure thing that's going on where you can put them in better spots or different abilities, which can actually affect other people's abilities. There are some worker placement spots that are instant effects, and then some that are at the end of the round or when you actually activate them.
Yeah.
You get those, and then you're getting other tokens. But when it's all boiled down, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the most votes to become the next leader of this magic school that you are all vying for. So 10 of the cards that are down, it's either 10 or 12, I think it's 10 though, are are face down. 2 of them are face up because they're always the same for everyone. Whoever has like the most mana or most coins or whatever, and whoever gets the most votes, something like that. And part of the research is getting letters where you're able to check and secretly know who's voting for what faction. It's all just different kinds of majorities. It's unlike most worker placements. It's not victory points. There's a lot of different resources that work in very different ways. And
Don't forget the follow or the shadow mechanic.
Yeah, like the shadow mechanic where you can kind of like shadow another person's action, and you're able to get that as like a special ability, and everything has their own abilities, own modular boards. It's just absolutely intense.
Yeah.
But once you get it down, it's one of the most rewarding worker placement games that I've played. And just the ability that you can change just about every aspect of the game, different sets of cards, different ways you set up the board, different characters that you have, different house abilities, the different votes that happen every turn. It's so great. So Argent the Consortium is my number 60.
It's not a bad choice. I enjoyed the game. It's long.
It is long.
It's a long game. And don't play at the full player count because I think it could play about, 5?
Something like that.
Yeah,
I agree. It's best at a 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's better at 2 or 3. It's really good. Also, watch out for AP. That game can lead to a lot of AP.
Yes.
All right, so moving on to my number 60 is a game I finally got off my shelf of shame, but I've played it quite a few times on the app. It actually taught me how to play the game. It's a Civilization game that also is very long.
Yep.
I dig this game. I love Civ games. I've talked about this recently the last couple weeks, and that is Through the Ages, a new story of civilization, I think is what the most recent one's called. It is a phenomenal game. It's really good, but there's a lot of moving parts when we're talking about like how it's taking forever and AP prone. This game can lead to that as well. You're bringing a civilization through the antiquity age all the way to the modern age, the information age, whatever I think it's called in the game.
Mm-hmm.
There's 4 ages technically in the game. You have the antiquity, then you have age 1, age 2, age 3. And there's a 4th age, but it's just basically the final round and scoring and stuff like that if you can play certain cards. You have a certain amount of actions depending upon your government. So if your original starting government for everybody is despotism, I think is what it's called, despotism. And basically you have 4 regular actions and 2 military actions, but you have to make sure you have the people for it or the resources. So it's resource management as well. You're trying to accrue stone to pay for certain things, food to feed your people, of course, or producing food. You have farms, you have mines, and then it gets better as you go along. You have your leaders. You can start out with, say, Julius Caesar or Moses or Hammurabi. There's different leaders out there. There's a lot of choices in this game. I have a great time playing it, and that's why it's 60.
Good pick. I want to try this one. I have a feeling I would enjoy the mess out of it. Number 59 for me is the newest game on my list. And because you and I just...
On this list or just...
newest game that I've owned, newest game that's been released, and newest game one of the newest games that we've played. And I say we've played because this also was on your list.
At number 73, right?
Juicy Fruits. Yeah. Juicy Fruits. No reason it should be that good.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I was like, okay, it's just any other like contract. You put in the resources for whatever contracts it is. And then I saw how it played, and I was like, okay. But then I saw that main mechanism of shifting everything around. It's brilliant. I love it. It makes perfect sense. It's super quick. It's so satisfying. It's going to replace a lot of games in my collection just because of that alone. You said it best yourself in our previous episode. Juicy Fruits is amazing. So great job for Capstone Games for making it, and thanks for letting me buy it because it's awesome.
Create a chaos. Do you chew juicy fruit when playing it?
If you like chewing on wood, if you're a guinea pig, that might be pretty.
Yeah.
Fun.
So the thing about juicy fruit, it tastes good for like 3 minutes, and then
right. You're talking the gum, right?
Yes.
Okay. Like as soon as like that flavor is gone, it's like, man, I'm just like chewing bland.
All right, so my number 59 is relatively new, but not that new. I think it came out in around 2019 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a building game, but not really a building game. It's called Tiny Towns.
Oh, okay.
It's based. You're building buildings, but it's kind of abstract in a way because you're trying to get certain material and you're trying to put them in a certain shape where you can build a certain type of building in your city and not leave open spaces. And you're scoring based off how this building is sitting next to this building, or this well is feeding the farms, and that kind of stuff. So there's different things that play. It's a really good game. I really enjoy it. I did not realize when it came out that it was about like animal people.
Yeah, you're anamorphic.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm like,
Anthropomorphic.
yeah, I was confused when they're like the expansion came out and there's like little rat people sitting on the thing like dressed as humans, and I'm like, wait, we're animals in this game?
Yeah,
this
apparently.
is Everdell the Builder? But it's really good. AEG knocked it out of the park with this one. It really is abstracted if you think about it.
Oh, very much.
But
yeah.
it's so good. And the fact that just in the base box alone, there's a lot of variability because you can take certain buildings out and put different ones in that follow the same line. Because I think it's about 4 or 5 buildings for the 6 or 7 different buildings you play with.
Yeah.
And they just do different powers and stuff like that. So it's really good. The expansion's added some more buildings and some more choices. I really enjoy it. And that's Tiny Towns.
I like the bingo aspect of it, that whatever resource is picked, everybody has to place that resource.
Yeah, I do like that too. A different take on the bingo aspect, because like we talked about it earlier with Super Mega Lucky Box, a number is called and you just mark out the numbers.
Right.
This one, it's a resource called out and everybody has to use it, and you got to be smart how you place it.
Yeah, exactly. So, speaking of another take on a common mechanism, this is the opposite of a deck builder game. This is a deck deconstruction game, where you are trying to get rid of these nasty, gross vegetables from your deck.
Ah, yeah.
Yep. Game Right Games, you did it again. Abandon All Artichokes is my number 58. It's an absolutely brilliant game where you start with a deck full of artichokes. I always love doing the same joke. It's like, all right, everybody, go ahead and take 10 artichokes. Go ahead and shuffle them up, and then draw a hand of 5. And then you see them start shuffling. They're like, wait a minute, these are all the same card. And then some people ask, it's like, does this matter? I'm like, no, but it's funny to watch. And I absolutely adore that. Yeah, but basically the idea is you win if you draw a hand of 5 cards, or up to 5 cards if you have that many. And if they're all non-artichokes, you win.
Right then and there.
Simple, right? You win immediately. And you draw at the beginning of your turn, or at the end of your turn. And yeah, so it's very simple. All you do is you take a card, a vegetable card that has its own ability, and all of these abilities have different ways to get rid of artichokes or to help manipulate what you do.
Or transfer your artichokes to someone else's deck, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Or work together and you both get rid of artichokes, but you're technically benefiting them as well. But it's just so brilliant. You're just constantly just refining your deck, getting new cards, getting better stuff.
One card I like in that deck is where I can shed an artichoke, but then I had to pass that certain vegetable off to someone else into their discard pile. I think it was like an onion or something like that. I can't remember. But it's a good game.
In one of the worst containers, though. The packaging for that is an oblong shape. It's shaped like an artichoke, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's a tin, which I know you hate tins more than I do. But I don't like them, but I get it. But at the same time, it's already oddly shaped. It's not pleasant. Other than that, it's fine.
I keep mine in that photo case with all my other card games.
That's one of the few. I really don't like getting rid of the boxes for my games, the originals. That's one I've definitely considered it.
Yeah, no, I don't like tins because they're hard to put on the shelf. As you see how I lay my games down, I can't stack them on or under something. I have a tin sitting right there, and it has to be on top of everything, or it's going to get dented.
Yep. Yeah, it does.
And so, a tin for a board game? Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the Game Right is notorious for that. Mm-hmm. What I have to say about Abandoned Artichokes, and I'll mention him again. Gamehead Geek actually would mention this to me. I didn't know this was there, but the artichokes, if you have them all together and you flip them, it makes a little flip book.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you give them like a little shuffle, not even have to shuffle them, but just kind of rip it like you're doing a flip book.
It's kind of...
They make a flip book dance and stuff like that. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So moving on to my next pick, which is 58. It's another crossover. Of course, this one's higher on my list to yours. I think yours was in the very first episode, the 90s or 80s. And that's the zombie game we mentioned earlier. It's a co-op, but there's semi-co-op in it if there's a trader.
Oh, yeah, Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter. So, yeah, Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game is what it's called, the full title. But you can also do Dead of Winter A Long Night, which is a standalone expansion. It's a phenomenal game. I really enjoyed it. It was up there for the longest time. I considered it my favorite game just because the story aspect of the Crossroad cards, as well as that Walking Dead feel. It really was the Walking Dead board game for the longest time, because what people don't understand is, yeah, zombies are in it, but they're not the important part of the game. They're just there as a fodder.
Doom.
Yeah, they're the impending doom. The whole point of the game is working together as a community to try to survive, but of course you're also trying to, protect your own interests. And I think it's phenomenal. I still think it's a really good game. The only issue is that it can run a little long, and it can also lead to tabletop quarterbacking. That could be a problem. And this one more prevalent than others, because if someone bullies the group and votes who they believe the traitor is, and it's not the traitor, if you do that twice and you don't get the traitor, you lose. And if there's a traitor, they win automatically. So it just depends. I really, really enjoy the game. It has flaws. Let's not forget that fact, but it's not that bad. And it's very thematic. It's one of the few thematic zombie games out there.
Cool. Yeah, good pick. I mean, obviously, it's on my top 100. I completely agree with you. My next one is one of the classic tile laying games. One Spiel des Jahres, a number of years ago, and it's not the one you...
Yeah, I know it's not that one. I know that one's higher.
Yeah.
I just try to think...
And this one has 4 different kinds of currencies you're trading for. I don't know if you've ever played this one, actually.
Yeah, this one doesn't sound familiar.
Alhambra.
Oh, yeah, I have played this one.
You have played Alhambra,
yeah,
right?
It's the one where you have to follow the wall.
Yep, exactly. There always has to be a path to the fountain. Yeah, Alhambra's brilliant. I like the idea that you can take money cards that are worth anywhere from like 1 to 9.
Dirk Henny?
Dirk Hen,
yeah.
Yeah, it's an absolutely smart game. You can take money cards and in your hand, and you always pay the money to buy the tiles, and you have to have at least as much. You never get change for it, but if you pay exactly the right amount, then you get to take another turn on top of it. I think that's awesome. And so you get people like building up a hand of cards ready to buy a bunch of tiles, and they're able to buy 3 or even all 4 different cards on the same turn. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. It's super fun. And I love the idea. It's like, well, you could take any number card you want, any money card, any value, but that's only going to help you if the tile costs enough. And then all you do as far as tile laying goes is you lay it down. You can't have any walls in between your fountain and yours. You have to have a walking path, and then you're going to count up points for majorities throughout 3 different rounds, scoring phases that are randomly mixed into the deck. Then you score. Yeah, it's real simple. It's really smart how it works. I like it a lot. My wife likes it, even though we just haven't played it in a long time. But it's earned every right to be number 57, Alhambra.
I enjoyed it. It didn't even make my cut here. Not even the 285. Again, I don't think it was in my records at the time. It's okay. I enjoy it. The app really left a bad taste in my mouth. I really didn't enjoy the app.
I don't think I ever tried the app.
I didn't like the app at all. Left a bad taste in my mouth, but all in all, it's a pretty good game. I think our mutual friend either has the big box or he has that other one that has the other games that are like Alhambra.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I had a good time playing it. But moving on to my number 57. And it's another crossover that was just recently mentioned. And it's about icky vegetables.
Wow, that fast. All right.
All right. Abandon All Artichokes. I think it's a great game. I have a good time showing it to people who haven't played it before. We showed it to our mutual friend Bryce, the Gamehead Geek. I've showed it to some friends I've mentioned before, Angel, Maria. Mm-hmm. It's gone down well to everybody I've shown it to. I think this is a game that I can play with people who aren't gamers. family members that if I go to a Thanksgiving or a family gathering of some sort, I can bust it out and probably get a few people to play with me, and they'll have a good time. This is a phenomenal game. The art is phenomenal in it for as simple as it is, and I think Gamewright has really been knocking it out of the park lately with their small little card games. Trash Pandas is another one that's really good. And yeah, so for me, Abandon All Artichokes is at number 57. It's a great game. Yeah, Creative Chaos. I think you would enjoy it. It's very simple. You'll probably play for about 20 minutes or so. It's real quick.
The next one is another one in the Tiny Epic series. And I know I said earlier that I believe Defenders was my favorite. Apparently it's not. Apparently it's not, because this one does rank higher. And that's just the way it is. And I can go in between the two, but this is a lot of people's favorites. And
Galaxy.
Tiny Epic Galaxies. It's a really smart engine building game. I like the dice abilities in it. I love the follow mechanism.
As long as you have the resources for it.
Yep. And then just either orbiting the card for points or going to the planet for actions. That's all you do. And
it's real simple. Yeah.
It's a brilliant game. Scott Alms also hitting out of the park. We've talked about it before.
It's probably my second or third favorite Tiny Epic game. I still think Quest is my favorite, but Tiny Epic Dungeons might unseat Quest, because you know how much I like a dungeon crawl.
Oh, I know you do. But yeah, Tiny Epic Galaxies, my number 56.
No, that's a good choice. I don't think any of the Tiny Epics have actually made my list. It's understandable. I like them, but I'm not as big as a fan as some of the others. Like I said, I like Quest. Zombies. I don't know if we played that one right. I think want to try that.
We played it wrong, so we have a bad taste in it.
Yeah, Tiny Epic Mechs was okay.
I liked Mechs a lot, actually.
I liked the programming of it, but it wasn't. It's middle of the road for me.
I was impressed with it. Yeah.
Haven't played Pirates yet. Has it come out yet?
Pirates has come out. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll fix that. We'll play.
Yeah. There's a few out there that I like. Galaxies is up there. I did not like Western. I hate the little poker aspect of that game.
Yeah.
But I digress. Moving on to my number 56 is another one you've already mentioned, and it's your favorite Cthulhu Mythos game.
Oh, really?
I like it more
Elder
than you.
Sign, huh?
Yeah, I love Elder Sign.
Wait, you don't know that that's my favorite?
Yes, you did. You said it like in the top.
I said
90.
I believe it is. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe there's another one higher up on the list.
Maybe. So mine is Elder Sign at 56. It's a really good game. If you like Yahtzee, you'll probably like this because it's Yahtzee with theme on it. You're trying to match to a certain extent on the cards. You got to close. You have to get so many Eldritch tokens compared to Mythos tokens that go up there, because I think some of them you need like 10. What are they called? Elder Signs? Elder Signs.
Yep.
To defeat the big awakening monster, Cthulhu, whoever you want it to be. But you also don't want them to get as many what are they called? Omens?
Yeah. Or Doom tokens.
Doom tokens.
Yep.
And they'll come out, and it's phenomenal. I solo this. I play this by myself all the time because it's quick. It's a Cthulhu game that you can play in about 30-45 minutes. There's only one, and I know for a fact this is probably the highest one on my list. We'll talk about it a little later. Maybe not in this episode, but in a future episode. But yeah, Elder Sign, if you got a chance to pick it up, go try it out. And I heard some of the expansions are really good. I don't have one, but that's because the base game's solid by itself. But some of the expansions add a few things that people really, really enjoy. So I do want to try them. I just haven't picked any up.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. My next one is a solo-only game. I guess technically you can play it 2 players. But I don't think it's the one you think it is.
No, but I think it's in that series.
It is in the series. That is absolutely in the Oniverse. Yeah, you know it well. It's in the Oniverse, and it's you know how much I like nautical themes, right?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be this one.
Yeah, Nautilion is my number 55. Nautilion it's in the Oniverse. I like the Oniverse quite a bit, and that's gotten me into solo gaming. And this one is really simple. And what I like about it is that you have a long track of these tiles. You're trying to get they're numbered 1 through 9. And there's the evil ship on the other side of the track. And what you do is you roll 3 dice. And you have to assign those 3 dice. 1 to the evil dude, one to you, and one to this card that's in the middle. And you obviously don't want to move either of them too fast, because if you get to the end and you don't have the tokens you need, then you lose. If the bad guy gets to the end or the opposite side before you do, then you lose. But then also, you get penalties for placing your placing like too high of a number on the middle card, and so it penalizes you. So it's really ingenious how it works. And you kind of basically, whenever you move your token, you take whatever token you land on, then you move the bad guy. That one gets removed from the game, and then you're using them and slowly like swapping places and going to the opposite side. So it's kind of like a race game, but you have to survive at the same time. It's super neat. And there's a bunch of different boards of different configurations for your submarine, your Nautilion. And whenever you place your first number token, it'll have like certain bridges that go to other numbers, and you can only place ones that are connected. So like the 5, I think, is in the middle, so you can either do a 2 and 8, 4 or 6, from there. So if you get a different token, well, sorry, that it's kind of a bummer, because you can't use it towards that one objective. And I think there's like 3 or 4 copies of each number, and there's ways to maneuver them around, and there's different abilities that you can kind of use those tokens for. So it's really brilliant how it works. That's Nautilion. That's my number 55.
So I have a quick question for you before I move on to my 55. You said Nautilion is, and the Oniverse really got you into solo play. So it might be further on your list, but would this count if it was a print and play? For your standards, because you made rules about how you did it. Would a print and play work? Because Bathysphere is one that you talk about.
Bargain Basement. And so, you know what? The more I was thinking about it, the more I think that Bargain Basement Bathysphere should have been on my list. It is not on my top 100, and I think it's just I bypassed it when I was making my list.
Ah, okay. I was just wondering if
that's a brilliant one, because it uses a similar idea. Is that you use a bunch of dice and you move those spaces, and you have the long track, and you're trying to delve down as deep as you can, but then you have to make it back up to the top before you run out of air.
Yeah.
That probably would have been my only roll and write, and it's a solo roll and write campaign game that's absolutely brilliant.
That you printed out and took a tree with you.
Yeah, if you go on BoardGameGeek.com, search Bargain Basement Bathysphere, it is available for free. If they ever published it, I would gladly pay for it again.
Yeah.
And play it through. It's phenomenal. It's one of the best roll and write games ever. I want to print out a few pages for you so you can try it one of these days.
I'll think about it. I mean, I want to, but I don't have the time anymore.
Oh, I know. I don't blame you.
All right,
but it's so good.
Moving on to our number 55, correct?
Your 55, yes.
This is probably the oldest game on my list.
Okay. Send it. No.
No, not that old. But the designer is no longer with us.
Oh.
And it's one of your favorite designers.
Sid Sackson?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So, I'm assuming it's Can't Stop.
You're correct.
Okay, yeah.
I don't hate his games. Acquire's fine, and I played a couple others I can't think of off the top of my head. But this is the one that has forged its way into my heart. It's one of the earliest that I know of push your luck games, and I know it's the oldest one I've played, and it still holds up. It's phenomenal. You basically roll your dice and you take the numbers and you try to move up the chart. The 2 and the 12 are you can climb to the top faster, but it's not likely that you're going to be able to get there, because those are rare numbers that rolls, because you need 2 6s or 2 1s, but you're more likely to score 7s. Therefore, 7 is the hardest to climb up, and you're pushing your luck, and you're trying not to bust, but you're trying to get as far as you can, because you got to get to a certain point before someone else goes, because I think it's you got to get 3 of your cones to the top. And the first time you showed it to me, we were at like a Denny's or something like that, and you busted out this big chunky wood board. And
plastic.
Yeah. Oh no, it's plastic.
Plastic stop sign.
Yeah, plastic stop sign. I'm like, what are we gonna play here? What the heck is this?
Plastic cones and just 4 dice, and that was it.
And then we probably had the most fun that anybody's ever had in Denny's.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Or was it IHOP?
No
I think it was IHOP.
Yeah. And yes, Craig. Yeah, we've definitely mentioned. This game in other episodes because this game is easily one of our favorites.
Yeah, it's a good game. I have a great time playing with it. A lot of people have probably played it by now, but if you haven't, you need to check it out. You could find a lot of them sometimes in thrift stores. Yep. There's some nice copies printed out there. I think there's
Board Game Arena has
Board Game Arena. Yeah, we've played it on there as well. Mm-hmm. I just gotta say, from what I've heard, don't touch the expansions. They're not needed.
Yeah, it's just one expansion and it adds a whole bunch of random to. I mean, it's just a dice game, right? Yeah, but it adds an obscene amount of random into what tokens you get. Yeah, I agree.
So my number 55, Can't Stop.
Very good pick. Do you think it's on my list?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, we'll find out. No spoilers. Number 54 is a game that originally was based on an IP, and then they legally had to change the name to a really just dumb name. And it's a dexterity game that you referenced earlier.
Terror in Meeple City.
Terror in Meeple City. It used to be called Rampage because it was loosely based off of a video game of the same title.
Except for you just only have giant lizards. There's no giant wolf creature.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's just giant lizards. But the idea of Rampage is you're trying to get the most points by destroying buildings and eating people. It's hilarious. I love the production of it. It's one of the best produced games.
Oh, that's great.
So many good components. Each of the meeple colors are different characters or different.
The only thing that I have to say, like, if you can find an original copy of Rampage, pick that one up, because I Terror Meeple City, I know some of the Easter eggs are still in there because I'm surprised they didn't get sued left and right.
Right, exactly. No, it's so good. It's such a great dexterity game. The only thing is right now it's kind of paranoia-inducing because one of the moves is to put your chin on the piece and like try and blow buildings over. It's like the sewage breath or something. What was the name of it? Like the gas breath?
Yeah,
fire breath. Maybe.
Fire breath, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it never worked well before, but it was good to like push meeples into like other sections because then you can eat them.
No.
But
I had problems back then when they made me when it had it. Right. Imagine today, nope.
No, yeah, but I mean,
I'm taking that card
out
of the game.
I appreciate the fact that that was one of your main actions, but the thing is, I appreciated the fact that they at least tried to do something different.
Yeah, you know? I get that.
And whether you agree with like it's obviously not sanitary, but like that's still not a
that's saying Hasbro is doing something different when they got games coming like Speak Out or Don't Flush the Toilet.
Oh yeah, Caca Alarm.
It's like seriously.
Yeah, it's so bad, but I like Terror in Meeple City a lot. I think it's a really phenomenal dexterity game. One of the best dexterity games I have in my collection.
Yeah. It's fine. It's a good game. The breath or blowing bothered me back in the day, and it bothers me even more nowadays.
I'm pretty sure this is my highest ranked Antoine Bauza game.
Man, that's not saying much.
Yeah.
But I digress. My number 54, I almost skipped ahead there, is a game that you can't stand. You despise this game.
I'm in grumpy mode. I'm ready to go.
And my wife hates this game. She loathes it entirely. But I enjoy it. I have fun with it. I like the combos that can come out and trying to figure out how they work. And it's an AEG game. An AEG card game.
Smash Up.
Right? Yep.
It's fine. I'm just not a big fan.
Yeah. My wife hates this game. She says if it belongs in bottom shelf. If you remember those days.
Yeah. One thing, it's designed by Paul Peterson. And I really love his game Guillotine. It's not on my top 100, but I want to give him, and he's a co-designer for Pairs as well. Yeah. So his stuff is good, and it's fun quality games, and it's a smart design. I never enjoyed playing it.
Yeah, the thing is why I think you probably don't like it enough, or not you don't really hate it, but you don't really enjoy it either.
Yeah.
And the same reason my wife doesn't like it is random. You're basically mashing up two factions, whether it's pirates or aliens, and seeing how they work. And some of them are good, some of them aren't. It's seriously getting bloated. I won't deny that. I've gotten every expansion but the Marvel one in the big box, the biggest box. But yeah, it's fine. It's a good game. I really enjoy it, but I get why people don't like it because of the luck base. I will not play this at the full player count, which I think is 4 or 5, somewhere around there. Yeah. I think it's really good at 3. It's not good at 2. It's not good at 4. It's perfect at 3. So if I need to bust out a game to play with just 2 other friends, this is one of them I will go to. But I get why people don't like it, but I have good and fond memories with it.
Yeah. Cool. That's not a bad choice. It didn't... take a guess, is it on my list? No.
It probably didn't even make the 285.
No. Well, I don't own it, so...
Yeah, that's true, too.
My number 53 is kind of an older worker placement game, but it's one of the better... they just recently did an anniversary edition.
I already knew what it is when you said older worker placement game.
Which one?
Stone Age.
Well, sir, you're right. So, yeah, Stone Age. It's awesome. If you don't know how to play Stone Age, go play Stone Age. It's great. You send out a number of workers on your turn to a single spot. Most resources can have up to 7, so if that's already filled, well, too bad. Or you can only put in as many as available, or you have. And there's some spots, like food, or like the
hunting can do as many, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a bunch of different spots where you can only put a few, but it is worker placement. And I like the idea that you are mitigating your resources. You don't know if you're definitely going to get a resource, but if you send wood is more likely than gold. And if I send a lot of workers out to get wood, well, that's a lot of dice I'm rolling. And
math.
There's quite a bit of math.
The second math board game on your list.
Yeah, but it's also I know I've said this so many times. It's on Board Game Arena and it does the math for you. So
yeah, no,
it totally does it way better.
It's a good game. I like it. It did make my list, but I agree with you. It's a good game. It's it's math. You have to. What is it? You roll your dice. You take that number and you divide it by how many people you use. So if you use you roll an X number of dice based on how many workers you send out, and depending on the rarity of the resource, that's you
how
divide
many
it by the
get.
number. Yeah.
So food is always divided by 2, wood is divided by 3, brick is divided by 4, stone is 5, gold is 6. So, and it's math. I get that, but it's thematic math actually, because I mean it's less likely if I go out into the woods, or if I'm panning for gold, I'm probably much less likely to get gold than I am to get wood in the woods. It makes sense. And then like food, it's like, oh well, I can find berries, I can find fish, I can find all kinds of wood or food. So it's thematic worker placement, and I like how you can mitigate it by getting tools. You are rolling, and it is by chance, but it's not completely at a loss. This is one of the few exceptions where I think you set up the number of dice, and then you have exactly what you have, and that's what you get. One of the few exceptions that's good.
Also, that leather cup is atrocious. It stinks. It can make your board game smell.
Yeah, it's not great. Mine never smelled too bad, but I also have allergies, so I don't know. Maybe it did.
No, I've smelled some copies like at a con, and it's just like, oh, just put a Yahtzee cup in there. So
everybody be careful. If you have leather in your game, he will smell your cup.
Oh, that's too late.
That's my number 53. I'm an adult.
No, you're not.
Stone Age. We're talking about toys. I guess we have no room to criticize.
All right, so my number 53 is another IP game.
IP game?
One that made you get into the TV show.
So this is one of 2, and I'm willing to bet it's based off of another game. It's a remake, right?
Yep, it's a remake.
Okay. So I knew you didn't like the other one.
I don't hate the other one.
Star Trek Panic.
Yeah, this is a great game. Honestly, there was a couple Panic games on my list that I was going through, And once I was like, okay, wait, this is on this list, I X'd the other ones, Munchkin Panic and Castle Panic, because this is my panic game. I really like it. You're doing the 5-year thing, so you got 5 different stories that you got to meet while you're fighting off the forces of the Romulans, the Klingons, I can't remember what the
Those
other
are the
ones.
main ones,
Yeah, the main ones. But you're fighting them off, as well as trying to protect your ship, and your shields go down, then parts of the ship blow up, where in the other games it's just like, hey, you lost an outer wall and now the castle. But this one feels thematic to the point where, like, oh, I got shot by the bird of prey, or the Romulan ship turned invisible, and it feels so good. And then you have your special abilities depending on the character you're playing as well. I love this game. I just recently got a copy of it. It's right over there, sitting with my other IP games, and it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, and I know you liked Castle Panic before, but this is what set it apart. Like that, this was we.
You know what helped was the
DeWitt.
5-year plan.
Yeah, we interviewed Justin DeWitt, the designer of Castle Panic and Star Trek Panic, on a podcast. Go check out that episode if you haven't already. Great guy. Absolutely wonderful person. And and he told us that this was like a passion project for him. And I wish there was a way that we could get next gen. Do
that. Or next gen is my favorite series, and so I would love a Star Trek Panic next gen. But just this one is fine too. I enjoyed the original series. It wasn't my favorite because I grew up on next gen, and I even liked Deep Space Nine over the original series.
Sure.
But yeah, no, it's a great game. I love the tower defense aspect of it, and it just feels like, oh, our shield's gone down. I get it. It feels better than like a wall breaking or, and then there's like little events that come out every now and then, because I remember there's like a card about the tribbles and stuff like that.
The tribbles, where you actually have to like fly to a Romulan ship, and then that's all you have to do. Like,
just to get them off or let a Romulan ship come to us.
Yeah,
and I like the fact about it. Like in Castle Panic, you can't move, but like if you move the ship forward, it moves everything towards you too, and or away from you if you're trying to run away from things. It feels thematic, and it's really good.
I like it a lot too. Yeah, good pick. Yeah, if anything, if one of the Castle Panics are on my list later, I would have combined all of them.
Yeah.
That goes along with it. My next one is like that little possible like potential spoiler. We'll see. My number 52 is probably one of the most thematic games I own, and you can't say that it's not thematic. It is. Like, I mean, I know you give me a lot of guff for having games with no theme. This is, like, just theme. There's almost no mechanisms in it at all, and it's like a massive, multi-layered storytelling game. Yeah, I'm serious. It has multiple expansions. Each one takes place in a different time frame. Because you are the time police in the future. This is Time Stories.
Yeah.
Time Stories is so good, and I know this would have been higher on my list like 3
I didn't even
years from now.
crack my 200.
You're 200?
Yeah. My Time Stories. I think it was like in the low 230s.
How far did you get in it? Only to the third expansion,
I'm
right?
on to the Prophecy of Dragons.
Yeah,
and we haven't played since. And I want to play it again. It's right up there for me to try to play again. And I actually have the Prophecy of the Dragon, or I think it's Prophecy of Dragons, loaded into it. I want to start it up again. It just hasn't got to the table.
And you know what's sad about it is that I own every expansion for it, and we've played everything except we haven't completed the final story. We haven't completed that final expansion because we were about to start playing it again before the lockdowns, and so that's been 2 years now that we've been sitting on this game that we've been playing since it came out in 2015, and it's been a fantastic game. I know some people.
In fact, if you notice, like right over there, I have quite a few of the expansions sitting right there,
and 2 of them are still sealed. Yeah,
man.
And I know some people say that some of the expansions are not that good, or like it's not as good as the others. Honestly, they're all not that bad. Like there was a couple that were definitely better than others.
I highly recommend what is it, Marcy's Case? I thought that one was
great.
Phenomenal.
Prophecy of Dragons was a really good one. I liked the next one, Under the Mask. It was pretty good. The Arctic Expedition, I enjoyed that one as well. It was a little weird. It's like honestly the last one is probably the one I like the least. just because it's Versailles.
Yeah.
And I don't care about the
Oh,
theme doesn't capture me.
best way to
personally.
describe Time Stories is the board game part of it, the base game.
Yeah.
Not the game inside of it, but just the board and the pieces and stuff like that. That's your video game. Your
It's a
console.
console.
That's your PlayStation 4, your Xbox, your Wii, whatever you want it to be. And each of the expansions, including the module that comes into the game. So the module that comes into the game is basically your Mario that was packed in with it. They play differently. So you're going to have some that are going to be your taste.
Yeah.
And some that are just going to be like, oh, this doesn't interest me at all.
Yeah. And there's an overarching story for everything too.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the really impressive things. It's a super awesome game. I'm probably going to be demoing it at the comic shop this weekend. We're going to be doing scenario-based games or campaign games, as we're going to call them. So that's definitely one. And I love demoing this because I always tell people, it's like, so you're going to get spoilers. You're not going to beat it the first time, and that's the point. You're supposed to go into it the following games knowing the knowledge you have.
It's time loop type thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, so once I demo this to you once, you are not allowed to play the store copy ever again. You're done. If you want to continue, if you like it, go buy the copy because it's awesome. So, but Time Stories, that's my number 52.
That's a good pick. Like I said, it didn't make my 200s, but it's also because I had invested in it, and I really enjoyed the first two scenarios, the one that comes in the base box and Marcy case. And I was enjoying Prophecy of the Dragons, but we just stopped playing for some reason or another. And I haven't picked it up since, so it's been a couple years since we played it.
Yeah. I would say play out the expansions you have, and then you can call it done.
Okay. Because the one I'm missing is the Versailles one, right?
No,
I'm missing
you're missing quite a few.
Missing like 3 of them.
Yeah, you're missing like 3 or 4. But Arctic Expedition, I think, happened right after Prophecy of Dragons, and then it was the Egyptian one.
No, Under the Mask was after the Prophecy of Dragons.
Okay, so then you're missing Under the Mask, though.
No, I have it. It's over there.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, okay, yeah. After the Arctic Expedition, you can stop.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I don't want to play that one solo. I love the experience with other people playing it.
Oh, no, and you shouldn't play it solo.
I know.
Or with 2 players. You should play it with the full
gamut. Nah, but I don't know if I can get a full gamut with it. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the same with us. I've been playing with almost the same game group for years.
So my number 52 is thematic for its theme, but it's not really. It's based off an app, based off a board game.
Jetpack Joyride.
Nope.
I don't know.
It's right behind you. You were just looking at it a minute ago. It's Fallout Shelter, the board game.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I really enjoy this. It's a very simple worker placement game with a little bit of luck because of the dice rolling and if you're fighting creatures and stuff like that. But it fits thematically because you're building a Fallout Shelter, one of the vaults in the game. In what's happening, you're trying to build certain rooms into your area, but it's kind of everybody's building this vault together. So the first floor is everybody's floor, so no one gets rewarded or what happens. But then the next couple floors are the yellow or red or blue or green, and then as you're going, so you can use other people's rooms that they have built down in their side of the vault, but then they get rewarded for you using it. But they're sometimes very powerful rooms, and the game ends if you get the first person gets 7 rooms built down in their side of the vault, and then the most points at the end of the game wins. So even if the person who builds 7 vaults, they could, and they have a good chance of winning.
Yeah. But
it's not a guarantee. And that's what I like about it, is because it still does worker placements. I enjoy the aspect, like if you could fight if you want, and you use the ability if you train your worker in a certain special category. So SPECIAL, if you're familiar with Fallout. You can use it to your advantage. If you're getting a resource, it increases your chance or increases your resource gain. Mm-hmm. If you're using it to fight a monster, you have a better chance of fighting said creature because they're in it. And you can also get items that help you along the way, or if you're fighting, it allows you to like re-roll dice depending on your items. I have a great time playing with it, and the one thing I really like about it is the overlays for the monsters, how they just kind of sit. It looks like they're sitting in the bottom. It's clear with the picture of, like, say, the ghoul rabid ghoul or something like that, feral ghoul, and it sits on your area of the vault, but it still looks like your vault. It's just got the creature over it, and it's phenomenal. I really enjoy the way that looks, and it's well done. I really enjoy the game a lot. It's, again, worker placement's my jam, and then when you add a theme already on it that I enjoy, yeah.
Very cool.
Fallout, the board game. Fallout Shelter, the board game.
Good choice. I just pulled it up. Time Story is the white cycle. You're missing 4. Lumen Fide is the one after Expedition Endurance.
Yeah, I knew there was like a priest one or something like that.
Yep. And then there's Estrella Drive, which is 1960s Hollywood. Based off of actual real events.
I'll borrow yours if I want to keep playing it.
Yep. Brotherhood of the Coast, which is pirate themed, and then Madame, which is the Versailles. So those are all pretty cool. All right, my next one, number 51, is from a designer that you and I both really enjoy. Feel free to take a guess.
Well, I have 2 choices. It's either Phil Walker Harding or Stefan Feld. So.
Okay. It is Phil Walker Harding. Now try and guess the game.
This low? Probably...
I do quite like this one.
Baron Park?
Nope.
Gizmos?
Nope. It is a bigger game.
Oh, bigger.
One of the smaller ones.
Is it Gingerbread House?
Nope.
He's got a lot of big games, so... Oh, is it Imhotep?
Imhotep. Yep, there it is. So, yeah, Imhotep is awesome. It's very simple. You are sailing your workers, which are basically just like cube
When you say
resources.
bigger game, you should say bigger box game. Because
Because
it's as light as some of his other games.
No, there's so many components in there, though.
Yeah.
I mean, just a bag of
when
cubes
I'm thinking
alone.
bigger game, I'm thinking like heavy, not...
Well, I mean, he's not exactly... His heaviest game is still lighter than Stefan
Feld's
Feld's lightest
game.
games. I mean, it's like there's very little overlap there. I mean, even like Stefan Feld's like Revolution of 1828, which is one of his lightest games, is still way more going on than than most Phil Walker Harding games. But I love this game. It's Egyptian themed. You are building different parts of it, like the pyramid. You're building a crypt. You're building obelisks, and you're doing all these different things. But all you do on your turn is you're either going to get a few cubes to add to your crate, or you're going to ship one to a boat, or you're going to sail a boat. Very, very simple. Very incredibly simple. It has no right having that much strategy. And I love the idea of sailing somebody's boat that you do not have a cube on. You could totally do that, but you sail it to a spot, and then it's going to score in certain ways. So you directly interact with the other players, and this is probably one of his most interactive games as far as other players.
You know what I call this, Phil Walker Harding?
What?
The Phil Walker Harding mini game, because it's basically it's 5 different mini games.
Basically, and I love how each board has 2 different sides, and it comes with another set of boards as well.
Yeah.
And then the expansions adds more.
Yeah.
Like,
what I like about this is that if you guys are video game fans and you've ever played WarioWare, this is Phil Walker Harding's WarioWare, because he has like you're playing like an area control game, and
you're not wrong. I mean, it kind of is like, it's more cohesive than that.
It is.
You are playing. Everything that you're building works in a very different way and scores. It's kind of like Sushi Go in that aspect, that there's just multiple ways to score, and I think it's interesting. But yeah, I like this game a lot. My number 51, Imhotep.
Because there's 5 different areas that you can go to.
I think so.
And
one of them
each of those areas is like different.
Yep. Yeah,
so like I said,
4 boats every turn, and so one spot never gets anything.
It's the WarioWare of board gaming. It really is. You're playing mini games to win the big game.
Kind of, yeah.
I dig this game. It didn't make my list. I don't even think it made it in my 285 because I think it was before I started keeping track. It's been out a while.
Would it have hit your list?
I don't think it would hit the top 100. I think it would have made the top 285 list if it was on there.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would crack the top 100. It's not my it's not my favorite Phil Walker Harding, but it's not my least favorite, I guess. I don't know. It probably would have scored low on the Phil Walker Harding list, but It's good. I like the chunky pieces. It's a decent game, but there's several games I'd play over this one of his.
And I just recently 3D printed the boats.
Yeah, those look cool. You glad I told you about those?
I'm very glad. That was one of the few things that you told me, and I was like, wow, I got to print it right now. Absolutely.
So my number 51 is not a Phil Walker Harding game, but it's a game that we talk about all the time. It's a game that I bust out just whenever I'm trying to kill time and to play with whomever. I mean, everybody's played this, loves it, and that's Dragonwood.
Yep.
It is a phenomenal game. It's real simple. You're playing cards out based on color, number, or straights, in a sense. So you're either trying to play cards of the same color, same number, or in succession 1, 2, 3, and what you're doing is you're trying to get the most points by attacking creatures out on a tableau in front of you and rolling dice. So for every card you play, you get to roll a die, and you got to meet a certain number based on what you're doing. So it's Scream, Stomp, and
Scream, Stomp, and
Strike. And so whichever one you do, you have to beat the number. Based on that, each monster has 3 different numbers correlating to the 3 different attacks. It's great. I have a great time playing this. I've actually played the newest one, Dragon Realm. Mm-hmm. It's good. I enjoy it, but I don't think it's ever going to replace Dragonwood, because this is a game I can bust out at Village Inn and play around with some friends while we're waiting on our food or just talking and having a good time. You could be drinking a beer at a pub. It's a good pub game, and it's just quick, simple, cutesy art. And it plays quickly. The 2 in-game triggers is either both dragons are defeated or you've run through the deck twice. That's it.
Yep.
Very simple. Plays in about 20 minutes at the most. I dig this one, and that's why it's number 51.
Good choice. All right. Yeah, it didn't make my top 100, but not due to it being bad. I mean, I've played it so many times, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
My number 50 is easily one of the best party games. But at the same time, it's not as much of a party game as it is kind of like more of a family weight game. But it's one of the few games that you can. It allows bluffing and lying, but you don't necessarily. That doesn't mean you're going to win if you get away with it. You might have an advantage.
I guess technically this is a party game. If this is the one I'm thinking of.
Feel free to guess.
Used to be Arcane Wonders, but now Simon owns it.
Sheriff of Nottingham. Yep. Yeah, it's. I love the idea of that. You can bribe people. Sometimes people are just trying to smuggle in certain things, or you could bring in legal goods. You put all the pieces in a bag. You hand the cards to whoever the sheriff is. You declare what it is, and that may or may not be true. The only thing you
could also try to bribe the sheriff.
You can try to bribe the sheriff, and I love the idea. It's like when people get creative of the bribery, it's like here's my bag. It's 3 cheese. Like, you can check it if you want. I don't want you to get penalized, but you know what? You're doing a good job. Here's 2 coins. You know what? That's just for you. That's not. You do what you want. You do what you think is right. But I just want you to have these 2 coins. That's for you. And here's 5 to check Daniel's bag. I love that.
Well, my favorite thing is trying to trick the sheriff. Be like, it's 4 bread, and you slide over, and there's money on it, and then they're just like, what's this money for?
Like, I don't know.
I don't know how that got there. It's just 4 bread. Don't worry about it. Yeah. And you're trying to bait them into checking because it is 4 bread, and they're going to be penalized for it.
Penalized if they do, and you are telling the truth. But if there's even a single contraband.
Or just like a cheese or something like that when you're saying it's 4 bread.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I love the way the negotiations work. And once again, you don't have to lie. You could play it completely fairly.
And I've seen people win that way.
And have a chance of winning. Yeah, it's not uncalled for.
Because you could say it's 4 bread, bribe the sheriff, and it's still 4 bread. And they check it, you get a reward for doing it, and you didn't lie to them. Yeah. You just offered him some money.
They wasted your time by checking the bag and not trusting you, and that's their penalty.
Yeah.
But of course, if they check it, then you have to pay them a certain amount. Yeah, and I love that reveal phase where they hand it back to you. You click it open and you slide some cards face down under the mat because you got some contraband in. It's so brilliant. It's one of the most hilarious games
It's a
I've
good
played.
game. I'm not really big into bluffing games, and I'll play this one. I
Right.
have a good time with it. Now, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Which version do you think is better?
I haven't seen the components for the new version.
I haven't seen the components for the new version, but I hate the cover of the new version.
I don't hate it. It's very cartoony. I will tell you the one thing I don't like about the components in this game, and this stresses me out, and I know I brought this up with one of the biggest, like, worst components or whatever, is the player boards are slightly larger than half of the box.
Yeah.
And so you can't stack them together, and you can't stack them up properly without there being a gap. I hate that. I can't stand that part of it. I wish that would go die in a fire. It's the worst thing ever. Make it just slightly smaller or a lot bigger. Then I'll be a happy camper. Everything else about the production is pretty good, though.
Yeah.
The button on one of my bags did tear, and so now it's out of print. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll
Well,
get
it's
the
not
new
out
one.
of print. You just not that
It's a
copy.
different company, yeah. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but we'll figure it out. I'm sure I can figure something
You could
out.
probably find like a thrift copy and just take a bag from that.
Yeah, right. Just one with the little button.
So moving on to my number 50.
Uh huh.
If you say worker placement's my favorite mechanism, what do you think is my second favorite mechanism?
Deck building.
Yep.
I was right. Okay, that was a shot in the dark, but I knew you liked deck building.
I enjoy deck building. And this is probably one of my favorite deck builders out there. I haven't played it in a while, but I played this solo, and it's got an IP theme on it as well. Mm-hmm. And every game basically in this line has an IP on it. And this is Legendary Encounter, and this one specifically is the Alien deck building game. You could throw Predator into this or any of the Encounter series. I like the Encounter over the original Legendaries, the Marvel ones, or just any of the other flavors there, because I love the aspect of things coming in the dark and you having to pay attack to reveal. And this one comes out thematic because like chest bursters happen and you have people turning on you and you have Jonesy in here. I love Aliens. It's one of my favorite series. The first two movies anyways. The second two movies are hit or miss for me. I enjoyed the third. The fourth was meh. But 1 and 2, and then don't even get me started on some of the newer ones like Alien Covenant and Prometheus was okay. But yeah, I love Aliens. I have a great time with it. I need to get the expansion for this one because it adds like more to just the base game of like the Hive Queen and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Doesn't add like Prometheus or Alien Covenant. But I really enjoy the encounter system because again, I like it where it comes back blind and you have to figure out what it is by spending your power. But you got to be careful because if they get into a certain area, you're starting to get hit. And it's difficult for me to get this to the table because it just plays for long, especially for solo, and not a lot of people like the Alien IP. Yeah. And another thing about this is with the Predator one, you can actually combine them and you can play as the Predators and hunt the aliens. And so I think, and then it's no longer co-op. Yeah, basically, if we're all playing Predators, we're competing against each other to try to get the highest point value. And I love it. It's a great game. The encounter system. And as for Creative Chaos, what about Alien Isolation? It's okay.
Cool. Speaking of favorite mechanisms, what would you say mine is?
Boring.
It's not far from it.
I don't know. I would say tiling, but I don't know. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, tiling. And this one, you use oddly shaped tiles, and not even just like. There's a lot of games that use like tetromino tiles. There's a lot of games that use.
Oh, I already know what this is. Once you said oddly placed tiles, is it Uwe Rosenberg?
It is.
Is it Patchwork?
It is. Yeah, Patchwork. I got a chance to play this at the comic shop this last Saturday. It was running a little slow, and I was like, okay, I was here early, so I decided, all right, there's one other player waiting for a game, so I was like, I'll gladly teach you how to play Patchwork. This game has one of the simplest themes that's not
It's quilting.
It's quilting, and your buttons are currency. Thematically, it makes no sense. But I love the idea that you are just trying to cover your quilt as efficiently as possible with these weird shapes. Some of them take more time. Some of them have their own currency. And I love the leapfrog mechanism of whoever's farther behind of the two players, they are the ones who get to take the next turn.
So I could basically take 2 turns before you, but
absolutely,
it not necessarily going to happen.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
some of those buttons jump you so far up that.
Some of them do, and that's neat, like, because then that's not efficient, but at the same time, if they have buttons on it, every time you jump past a button on the scoreboard, you get a payday and you get to take other buttons, but you might have to wait for the other player to take multiple turns before you have your next pick, and then they might jump right past the tile you won. It's so good.
It's a good game.
It's phenomenal, and I think...
Another 2-player only game.
It is not my highest Uwe Rosenberg game, but I do appreciate.
There's a couple. There's 2 things I want to talk about this one real quick.
Okay.
First off, last time I played it was just recently with our mutual friend Bryce.
Uh-huh.
And you want to know what the final scores were?
What?
Because you didn't mention a big part of it is if you have empty spaces in your quill, it's negative 2 points per square.
Yeah.
So it was 10 to negative 5.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've noticed a lot of people really dislike, and I feel bad.
I just found it hilarious.
Every time I teach it, because mine was negative 10 to 12. Every time you teach it, the first time you play it, you will almost always end negative score.
Oh, yeah. This is like the 4th or 5th time, and I still get negatives every now and then.
Yeah.
I do like Patchwork Doodle pretty well. It's a
right.
good little roll and write. Another thing that I have to mention, and this one's about Uwe Rosenberg, he's got 2 of the simplest games. One about bean farming, but you're the beans for some reason, and then quilt making, and then you have, these polynomials, these are nice. Let's make a massive point salad game with polynomials that cost about $80, the game itself. Mm-hmm. And everybody loves it, and I'm just sitting there like...
Feast for Odin?
Yeah.
That's $100. Yeah. It's not 80. It's ridiculous.
It's a massive size box, but it uses some of the same components as a Patchwork, which is like a $20 game.
30.
You could pick it up for 20.
Sure, you can. MSRP's 30.
Because I think the one that our friend Bryce has, he has the Americana one. He picked it up for 20.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, no, that one is I wonder if the tiles are thinner. Have you played that one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it feels the same as the other one.
Yeah. Cool.
No, it's a good game. He's all over the place. And then we mentioned like Agricola and Caverna.
Yeah, big old heavy, intense games.
It's probably higher on your list, or I don't even. It's not on my list, but I'm assuming it's on yours. Le Havre. We'll see.
I'll double check.
But compared to he's so Feld. They're different themes, but they kind of play with the same mechanisms. The point salad, making as many points. Uwe Rosenberg, you have bean farming to Feast for Odin, feeding the gods of the North.
145.
Oh wow! I don't even think it made my 200. I enjoy it, but I don't think I like it as much as you do.
No.
But moving on to my number 49, and look, it's another Cthulhu game. But it's this one you actually quite enjoy.
Oh.
It is the one that's app-based.
Oh, Mansions of Madness.
Yeah. This is a phenomenal game. This is really good. And honestly, I know a lot of people like the first edition, but I think the second edition... I haven't even played the first edition, but the second edition with the app integration is phenomenal. The only problem with app integration, and this is the biggest gripe I can get behind, is how long is it going to be support? Mm-hmm. But Fantasy Flight has shown they're going to be supporting it for a while. I think they're done with actual physical expansion, stuff like that, but with the app-based, because they've talked about it, I think they're done. But with the app-based about it, they could just add more scenarios with what's already out there. There's 3-4 expansions from Mansions of Madness, plus what's in the base game. Yeah. So you just...
There's a lot.
You just mess around with it and tinker with scenarios based off of what's already out there. It's a good game. I prefer this one over Eldritch Horror, but I don't own it because I don't need to. I have a mutual our friend. I mentioned him again. I'll mention him as always. Bryce owns it, and I played this with his copy. It's phenomenal. It's great. I just don't need to own it. If I were to get one that's based like this, I'd probably get the Lord of the Rings one, just because nobody else really has it in our group. I think our friend Dom does, but
maybe.
But yeah. But I enjoy it. I like this one because it's scenario based, so it's one and done when you play a scenario. Whereas the Lord of the Rings is campaign based, so you keep going through the story. So they play a little differently, but yeah, it's phenomenal. But there's some issues with it. The minis are great, but you don't need that stupid little stand.
No. Nope. In fact, it's better without them.
Yeah, and the problem is that because of the stand, the minis can't work.
Yeah.
Because they got little peg holes for them to stand in the stand. Mm-hmm. Useless. But it's a phenomenal game. I love the puzzles in it. I love the ambiance the app gives because of the sound in the background and just the imagery that you see. And when you're like, there's certain scenarios where you're questioning people, they have voice acting for it. So yeah, Mansions of Madness, second edition, great game. Number 49.
Cool. Yeah, good pick. My number 48. You said that, generally speaking, do you like games with apps or app integration?
I don't hate them. It just depends if the app integration is doing something for the game. Now we mentioned it, I think, in the last podcast, what makes a good or bad game.
Yeah.
I don't like app integration just because it makes the game, or because the game is too hard. So you just use it for point keeping. That's it.
Yeah.
Like Alchemist. But if it's doing something for the game, helping you drive the game and telling a story through the game, I think it's great. Mansions of Madness is one I think does it well. Golem Arcana, I think, was horrible.
I haven't played that one, although I've owned parts of it before.
Oh god, it's bad.
The reason I say that is because this game is not app integrated, it's website integrated.
I know what it is.
Which one?
It's
Detective, Modern Crime. Yeah. It's so good. So
you
good.
You can't see it on screen.
How much have you played of it yet?
I played the first scenario.
Oh, it's so great.
We got to play some more of it, but we didn't do too hot on the first scenario.
Oh, no. Me and my group, we did absolutely awful. But that's fine. Or no, I think we did good, and then the third scenario hit, and we just, dumpster fire all of a sudden.
We didn't do too. We thought we were doing good, and then it was like, no, it was bad.
Yeah, it's brutal, but, oh, God, it's so great, though, and I love divvying up the roles. The theme in it is so good. The storyline is fantastic.
I do have to mention that we fired our note taker. He wasn't taking good enough notes, and that was part of the reason we weren't, because he was like taking notes of things I don't think were important and not taking notes of things that were important, and it's like, you're fired, give me that.
Yeah, I remember in my game I was the token guy. Like, I was keeping track of what resources we had, what tokens we could use, but we had one person who was the card person. Our mutual friend Jim, he was definitely the computer person, of course. And he loved every bit of it, and it was so good.
It's a great game.
So good. And I've already bought the expansion for it, and
I want to play Dig Deeper.
Yeah. And I've also bought the season 1 of the Modern Crime.
Yeah.
Which I understand they're just 3 separate scenarios. We're probably going to be playing that fairly soon, and then I want to get the Venice. Or Vienna Connection.
Vienna Connection. I want to play the Dig Deeper because Rob Davio is attached to that one, and that man knows how to make campaign games.
Yes, he does. Yeah, so I own it. I'm ready to play it. We just haven't yet. So it is what it is. That's my number 48, Detective.
My number 48 is one that you ended up hounding me to play. I got to show you this. You got to play this.
So I must have been right.
You gotta do this. You gotta do this. Fine, I'll play this game. Just leave me alone about it. And I dug it. It's a Richard Garfield game.
Is this Keyforge?
Yep.
Huh. Okay.
I did Keyforge. I have quite a few. I need to get some of the newer expansions, but I have quite a few games right over there, card decks. Haven't found the one that really synergizes with me. I do realize I like playing the Bug faction. I forget what they're called. Mm-hmm. Just because I like playing hyper offensively, and they are a hyper offensive team in there. So I love playing with those ones. And there's a couple others like the Dinosaur faction that play pretty hyper offensively as well. But you learn a deck and you could take it into tournaments. Some are better than others, let's not lie. But learning and to play your deck and synergize it doesn't necessarily mean or some decks better than the other doesn't mean you don't have a chance, because if you learn how to play your deck and you play it smartly, you could still beat a person who's got a very powerful deck. It's a phenomenal game. I really enjoy playing it. My wife enjoys it because she liked playing Magic the Gathering, but again, the community bothered her a little bit. So playing Keyforge scratches that itch for her. And when we're talking about 2-player games, Keyforge is probably at the top of my list when it comes to 2-player games, because if you're into that kind of little battling card game action like Magic the Gathering, but you don't want to spend money on decks or stuff like that, but just want to feel, you can go to your local game shop and buy a pack for $10 and just learn that deck, and you could still play in tournaments. And I love what you were telling me about, like, one of the rules of the thing is if someone wins a tournament with their deck ascends, deck ascends and is basically retired.
Yeah, and it becomes notorious. Like, yeah, this is one of the best decks. It's probably broken, but that's okay. It's earned its right to be considered godlike, and now it's no longer allowed in the tournament because it's already won.
Yeah.
Like how we ascended Gloomhaven on our top 8 debates. Exactly the same idea.
Yeah, and so my number 48 was Keyforge.
All right, my number 47 is a game that I hounded you to play. A very different game, though. Very, very different game. And this is one of the Euro games that isn't about victory points. It's a race. And so much to the point where you've only played it once. I played it a couple times. A mutual friend of ours backtracked so far and yet still won that it's became a stand-up moment for us, and we played it online. It's Lewis and Clark, The Expedition.
What's funny is I've heard time and time again that everybody says the dice game is better.
Nope.
I was disappointed with the dice game. Both you and me were like, let's go play the other one instead.
Yeah, no, and I own the dice game, and it was on my list, but it's not on my top 100.
Yeah.
This is definitely the higher one, and I love the worker placement part of it. It is a longer game. That's the only problem I have with it.
Yeah, the dice game plays faster.
Yeah, just maneuvering, trying to get your pieces there, getting more cards, more workers, sending out Native Americans. It's brilliant. It's a really smart design. It's actually quite thematic because you're racing, to get to the west coast of the United States. You're following roughly the right route. That Lewis and Clark went. Roughly. But I mean, it's rather thematic, and it's really neat how it works, and all the resources work in very interesting ways. So I like it a lot. If you like middle heavyweight Euro games, Lewis and Clark, definitely check it out.
Yeah, no, it's a good game. So my number 47 is a game that you've already mentioned, and it's all about the dice.
Dice Forge?
Yep. I really enjoy this game. I think I showed you Dice Forge, and you really enjoyed it.
We had it at the shop.
Yeah,
it was a demo.
It was a demo. But yeah, it's a great game. I ended up getting it for my birthday a few years back, and I fell in love with this game. And there's a reason why it's in my top 50. Mm-hmm. I have a blast with it. I have the expansion, another one that was given to me as a gift for my birthday. I really, really enjoy it. I enjoy teaching it because it just makes it easier for people to understand. Mm-hmm. I've played with both sets of cards at one point, so I've seen, because there's certain cards that you can take out of the game and put more advanced cards into it, and they're fine. They're interesting and make the game more complicated. But I can play the base game itself, just with the original cards. Keep going with it, and I enjoy it. It's a really good game. I love the only thing I wished is they gave us like Rattlebones, the little prototype to dig out the dice face.
Yeah, because it tells you just like take an
edge of another die and pull it, and sometimes it pops and flies everywhere, and you're trying to be as gentle as possible. But no, I think that I wish and I'm probably gonna go to, I think it's Board Game Geek store that sells it, where you can get the prototypes for Rattlebones and just take out those little dice pullers. But yeah, Dice Forge, everything you said about it earlier, it's a phenomenal game. It's weird though, because it's like you're demigods who are trying to become gods and be the most thing, but it like mixes the different religions. Like you have ancient Egyptian in there with some of the creatures. You have Thor's hammer.
Yep.
You have what is it, like Hercules or something like that in there. It's just there's just a eclectic mythologies in there, but it's such a good game.
Yeah. No theme, really.
No theme, honestly.
It doesn't make any
it's just
sense.
all about the dice rolling and getting your
Yeah.
resources. What I like about it is that you're gauged on everybody's turn because when they roll their die, you're rolling your dice and you're getting resources. So you're rolling your dice every turn. The only point where it kind of slows down is when they're making a decision either to go up there or buy something. That's it.
Yep.
And then, even then, that plays quickly.
Good deal. Yeah, good pick. I mean, obviously, I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Number 46 for me is my only Stonemaier game on my list.
Oh, which one is your favorite Stonemaier?
And we do this every time, too, and you always forget that this one exists.
Do I?
Mm-hmm. Every time we talk about Stonemaier games.
That you own.
Yes. This is one of 2 Stonemaier games that I own.
Well, I know you have Between Two Cities. Is it that one?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
I don't own Between Two Cities.
Well, I'm trying to see. I have like all the Stonemaiers right there.
Yep.
Do you own Tapestry?
I do not own Tapestry.
So that wouldn't be on your list.
Nope.
And it's not going to be
like
Scythe.
Tapestry. It's not Scythe. Scythe was good. I liked it.
You're right. I keep forgetting which one it is.
Every single time. That's because it's right above my head, right here. You can see it in the video.
Oh, yeah, it's Charterstone because I don't have it over
Charterstone.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's because I'm in the middle of playing it, and I've only played the first 2 scenarios
Yep,
of it.
and I've played it the entire way through, and it's awesome. I like the worker placement part of it. I'm not going to give any spoilers.
I like the crate
worker
system.
bumping. The crates, yeah, that's cool. Like when you get the right resources, you can unlock the crate, which lets you get other cards.
Yeah.
Super smart. It's really brilliant how it works.
And what
I like it a lot. It works well, and some of the new components that you'll see, and some of the abilities and all of the new stuff that unlocks with the crates, super fun.
What I like about it is one of the first legacy games or campaign games that you could play after you're done with it.
Yes.
It was the first ones that really start that. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And mind you, I doubt anybody's going to play it after they're done with it. But
I haven't. I would, I wouldn't hate on that idea. Absolutely, I would definitely play it again. It's on my top 50 for a reason.
It made
I
my
will
top.
give you a non-spoiler, but a heads up. And I remember you looked at me very strange when I brought it up to Jamie when we interviewed him for our podcast, and I said, "There's a very strange component in this." And he was like, "I know which one you're talking about." And yes. and that's where I left it, and that's where he did too. And you just kind of looked at us like,
So,
okay. I look forward to when you meet that component.
yeah,
It's cool.
I got to get that group to play it again, but they just haven't wanted to try it again, so I might have to do it solo just to finish it.
Get cash and guns and hold him at gunpoint.
So, but yeah, I keep forgetting it's there because normally right there is my Stonemaier.
Yep.
Right above his head. And then it's right over there, which is under my
legacy
my
campaign
stuff. So I just keep forgetting. I keep looking. I'm like, wait, there's all my Stonemaier, and I forget. It's just sitting over there.
Yeah.
I enjoy so far what I played of it. I'm looking forward to getting more of it into it. But let's go on to my number 46. And it's a game that you've already mentioned about maybe one ago. And it's a Euro racing
Lewis
game.
and Clark.
Yes.
Wow. Crossover so soon.
Yeah, and almost at the same number, too. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think yours was 47?
47.
Yeah, so mine's 46, Lewis and Clark, The Expedition. I enjoy it. It's got one of my favorite memories of playing games, and this was just online, too. When we played with our mutual friend. He went all the way back to New Orleans, and he beat us.
Yeah. Yep.
We're hanging out in the mountains, and next thing you know, he takes a motorboat all the way across.
Yep.
Yeah, still the only match is at 66, but hey, it's pretty close. But yeah, it's everything you said about it is fun. It does play longer, but trying to use, I'm going to call them the Native Americans. The game calls it something else, fine. But using them properly, getting your resources to help move your boat along. I like the fact that you can move so far, but if you don't use your resources wisely, you move back.
Yeah.
And so you got to be careful when you set up your camp. This way you don't move too far back or move too far ahead and then run out of time and end up all the way back to your campsite.
Yep.
So I really enjoy the game. And honestly, Vincent Dutrait art, It's pretty game too. So yes, my number 46, Lewis and Clark: The Expedition.
Good choice. My number 45 is probably one of the simplest deck builders on this list. I had briefly touched base about it earlier, and that's because I feel Shards of Infinity kind of ripped this game off. But what this company did, Wise Wizard Games, they expanded it in a great way. I like fantasy theme better too, so it's Hero Realms. The 2 to 4 player deck building game comes in a tiny little box, and it's absolutely brilliant how it works. You're basically either fighting each other, last person standing wins, deck building, getting all sorts of fun powers, 4 different factions that work in very different ways, and then they turned it into a co-op campaign mode, and that was a really fun co-op
Yeah, it's
mode.
a good campaign.
Yeah, I liked what it did. I haven't played the second chapter of it yet, but I did play the first one, and I enjoyed the mess out of it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first one. I don't own this anymore. I got burnt out of it, I guess.
Sure.
Man, there's a lot of generic fantasy. I have quite a bit of it up on my shelf over there. I do like Star Realms, but I think Hero Realms I like more. I agree with you. But I'm not even sure where it was on my list. I know it was on there. I think it's at the back end now because it's faded away from memory for me.
Sure. That's fair.
So moving on to my number 45 is probably, from my understanding, my highest trick-taking game.
Trick-taking, okay.
It's not that hard for you to figure out.
The Crew.
Yeah.
Really? It's down at 45. I could have sworn this would have been
I
top
thought it would
10
have been
for you.
higher too, but yeah. I still love the Crew. I love the little campaign with it and trying to figure out how you're going to feed tricks to the right person and make sure people are taking the right tricks, and the limited communication in the game where you're basically telling them once per round, this is either my only card, my highest card, or lowest card of this number, so don't try to feed me tricks if this is my highest card and you're trying to get a low card to say yourself. I enjoy this game. Yeah, and so, yeah, I'm surprised it's down this low. I talk about it all the time. I really, really, really enjoy this game. But looking at my list, I'm not surprised it's this low.
Right.
Because some of the other games on my list I really enjoy more. There are a few that surprise me that are higher than this one, and we'll get to it probably in the next episode. But I enjoyed this game a lot.
Cool. Yeah, good pick. Very good one. My next one is a Phil Walker Harding game that you've already mentioned.
Baron Park? Oh, no. Gingerbread House.
Gingerbread House. Yep. It's a brilliant game. Everything you said about it is absolutely right. I love the thick components, that makes the tiles make a lot of sense when you're stacking them correctly. The ones you put it on get you a couple gingerbread. If you get 2 of the same symbol, you get double that. Or not double, but you get a bonus one. Trade them in, fulfilling contracts, getting characters, and getting objectives. It's just brilliantly simple. I'm surprised when I show this to people and they're not as excited about it as I am. It kind of breaks my brain a little bit, but I've seen it. My wife is a perfect example of it. She thought it was too complicated. And she didn't like it. And it is the most.
It's interesting. I showed it to our mutual friend Bryce, and he liked it, but it's not his favorite Phil Walker Harding. Yeah. He's like, it was good, but I like Gizmos better, and I like Super Mega Lucky Box better.
Yep.
That's what he was saying, and I'm like, I agree with him. But I enjoy it too. It's good.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why it's on my top 100.
Yep. I completely agree with you. Gingerbread House, my number 44. A little bit higher than this.
Yeah, it's funny because you're like, it's a Phil Walker Harding game. I'm like, I've mentioned, 3 or 4 already? Yeah. Super Mega Lucky Box. So, like I said, there's going to be a run here in a little bit, but not the rest of this one. Number 44 is my second favorite game of this IP. And it's one of my favorite IPs. In fact, there's a clock sitting on the wall of it.
Oh, Star Wars. Okay. I could have. You haven't mentioned any Star Wars yet, so I was like, okay.
That's why this is my second favorite, and this is Star Wars Rebellion. This is the big, grandiose Fantasy Flight. This is a Star Wars game in the box, and this is another one that I've mentioned before with like Ascension. This can play up to 4 players. Don't play it up to 4 players. It's a 2-player only game. but it's a massive 2-player only game. You're going to play about 2.5 hours playing this one. But one person's playing the Rebel Alliance, and they're trying to keep their base safe and blow up the Death Star and make it a certain round, and trying to get the people, the populace, to enjoy them or work with them to start destroying the Empire. And the Empire is all about trying to find the base and blowing it up. And so you have a certain amount of rounds that you could get into this game for you to defeat it. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy it. I enjoy the mess out of it. It tends to be weighted a little bit more to the Empire, but that makes sense because they have a bunch of resources, and you're a ragtag group, so you're trying to get popularity towards the Rebel Alliance when you're playing the Rebels, and you're trying to increase your chances to get more military, but you're also got to be careful because you don't want to show out where your rebel base is. You have a possibility of changing your rebel base in the game, but it's risky because then you have to reveal where the old rebel base is, and then the Empire knows, oh, there's a limited number of spaces where he can go. And so once the Empire lands on where your rebel base, it gets revealed. It's so good. It's very thematic, and it's a bit lucky because of the dice roll combats, but I get why this is very popular, and I love it myself. It's just not something I'm going to get to the table a lot because how big and how heavy it is.
Yep, that's fair. Not a bad pick. I do need to try this one.
Yeah, Star Wars Rebellion, my number 44.
My number 43 is kind of a sequel to a fantasy cooperative game, but this is also cooperative, and it's more card-based.
Fantasy cooperative game, but also cooperative and card-based.
Mm-hmm.
That narrows the hints down.
Right. And this is a completely different universe, but it's also designed, and the art is done by the same person.
So...
It's not Ryan Lockett.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's not Ryan Lockett. It's Michael Menzel.
Oh, is this the Liberation of Rightburg?
Liberation of Rightburg. Holy cow, is this game good. I can't wait to play it again. I'm getting excited just talking about it. It's very simple. You have 6 different sections. You're trying to get a certain number of goals. You're trying to find certain things going around. Yes, there's technically combat in it, but like at the same time, you can avoid the people. You're basically just on a timer. You have to discover what you need to win, and that's all the time you have to do it. But what's cool is that you have certain number of cards in your hand that you can play. And anytime you rest, you take all the cards back into your hand, and then you flip over some of the cards that add more to the board. It's really fun. I can't wait to play it again, honestly. It's super cool. If you like Legends of Andor, you'll probably like this as well. If you don't like Legends of Andor, still give this one a look if you like cooperative games. That's my number 43.
Yeah, I'm looking for it on my list here. I don't even know where it landed. I might have missed it, but I missed it. Yeah. I'm thinking it's somewhere in the top 200. Wait, there it is. It's 199.
199. There you go. Top 200. It's not wrong.
And so moving on to my number 43. Oh, look, it's a worker placement game.
No.
Shock.
Wow.
It's a worker placement game based in the role player universe.
Oh, I know what this one is.
It is Lockup, a role player tale. Your prison, your creatures in role player, the bad guys that you fight in actually role player, and you're in a prison and you're trying to earn your way out of prison. And I really, really dig this game. I know not a lot of people enjoy it. Ithri being one of them.
But I was going to say, friend of the podcast, Ithri, definitely does not like this one.
But I enjoy it for what it is. I like some of the differences that it does, or the fact that you're trying to build material and you're playing games, you could play some of your people upside down, so you're not trying to, and it's power based. So whoever has the most power gets the best resources out of the area, and the second person gets another lower amount, and then third person, he may get something, he may not, depending on the area. I really dig this, and I love the fact that it plays in a line. So this one's always going to pop first, this one's always going to pop second, third, fourth, and fifth, and you're trying to be careful about what you're doing because you don't want to gain that suspicion, because too much suspicion will end up getting I forget what it's called, like a search or check by the prison guards, and that's a bad thing. So the person who has the most loses stuff and loses points, and it could be really bad. I dig this game. I love the component quality of it. I like the fact that where you're keeping your workers, because you want to keep hidden what you're playing if you're going to play stuff face down. Where you're playing them at, it's their backers or like prison cells, so you see a picture of them behind bars. It's really good. It's enjoyable. I have a great time playing this, and I wasn't shocked it made it up this high.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me one bit that it is. I only imagine that there might be others in the series that are higher, but we'll see.
Maybe. Let's see.
We'll see. Anyway, my number 42 is another Phil Walker Harding game. Care to take a guess?
Have I mentioned it yet?
I don't think you've listed it. No, but I might be wrong. Maybe you did. I don't think so though. I know you've spoken about it.
The only one I could think of that you really like, and I just not sure if it's this low, is Gizmos.
Gizmos.
Really? Yep. It's this low?
Number 42. Yeah, Gizmos is this low, unfortunately.
I thought it would have been like in your top 25.
We'll find out. There might be other Phil Walker Harding games in there, but yeah, that means that there's at least 41 other games that I think are better than Gizmos. But I think this is an awesome game, so much that like we played this in Las Vegas for the first time, and me and my wife played it at Meeple Land, I think.
Yeah.
I know Meeple is in the title, but it's a board game cafe up in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's awesome. Go check it out. Great people, very friendly. They suggested Gizmos, and my wife was like, all right, well, I guess we'll give it a try. And she absolutely adored it and has never played it since. So, it's weird. Like, I ended up buying it for her because how much she liked it. But then I showed it to you, and you were, like, wishy-washy on it at first because it was a two-player game, and I floored you with it. And
I've only played one other two-player game with our buddy Bryce. And it was close. He just wanted to see how I played, and then I played a 4-player game of it recently, and it went down pretty well. So I've decided I don't like it at 2 players.
Yeah, which is fair. But yeah, Gizmos is awesome. It's the perfect engine building game. Like
building engines.
Yeah, building engines, building these gizmos as they call it. And the idea is that you either take one of like the 4 actions that are available, either take a marble or spend marbles to buy a card, or to archive stuff, which I just draw and then save it. That's pretty much it. But as you build these gizmos, they give you bonuses for building certain types of gizmos or building
or picking certain
colors. Yeah. So like I might have something that says when you build a blue building, you get to pick a marble. So then if I have another card that says when you pick a red marble, you get another random. I might build a blue building, then pick a red marble, then take a random and start comboing like crazy. And when you start ramping up right when it's at the point where it's like, all right, this is going to start getting crazy, the game ends.
Yeah.
And it gives you that sense of like, man, that was so good. I was almost there to like this really satisfying absurdity. It's a fantastic game.
It's a good game. I really like it. Like I said, I don't like it at 2 players, and it's just because of the cycling. Because I played it at 2 recently, as I mentioned, with Bryce, and then I played it at 4 players with some friends of ours, Angel Maria.
Yep.
And it was so phenomenal as the cycling. Ooh, this works.
Right.
Whereas the 2 players, there would be a while before I even see a blue marble come out or something.
Yep.
So no, I agree. Gizmos is a good game. I have nothing else to add to it. It's really good.
Cool. Good.
Yeah. Moving on to my number 42. Speaking of good games, you dig this game, not this version of it, but you really enjoy this game.
Let's find out. Maybe.
And it's also, I guess, technically an engine builder. And it's also my Splendor Killer.
Century?
Yes. Okay. Mine personally is the Golem edition, it's basically an engine builder. You're playing cards out to either exchange gems down or up or down, depending on how you want to play it. So I could turn in 1 pink one into 4 yellow ones and use those to buy a golem on my next turn or whatever the card, or on my next turn. In doing so, if I do it at a certain point, I also get bonus ones based on the coins. Or you could pick your cards up. It's that simple. You're also buying other cards as you're playing through because you're doing this this thing where it can buy you a card as you're playing. I dig this game. It plays very quickly. It plays phenomenally. I prefer the Golem edition because it's very pretty. And my only gripe about the Golem editions, is why didn't they finish the panorama? 2 of the 3 games match. Why couldn't they get the third one to match the rest of the games? It's annoying. It's very, very enjoyable. And that is Century Golem Edition, My Splendor Killer, at number 42.
Yeah, that's a good pick. My number 41, and the last one for our video today.
For you.
Right. Yeah, for me. Number 41 is one of the most complex deck building games that we've played.
Most
I don't know
complex?
if you've played. It is a deck building game. It is rather complex, but there's only 6 different cards. Really.
Wait, is it Eminent Domain?
Eminent Domain. Have you played this one?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, okay.
I dig this one.
This one's so good. It has no right being that good. And it takes deck building. It's a deck builder. There's nothing... There's no reason to say it's not a deck builder. But where in other deck builders you're using currency to buy things, no, you take a card, but that determines your action. And by playing duplicates of the card determines how much of a benefit you get from doing so, and playing some from your hand. And then you can, whenever somebody plays something like that, you could either follow, which means you play the same cards, the same style of cards.
Tasty Minstrel?
This was Tasty Minstrel, yep.
God, I hope someone picks this one up.
And so Seth Jaffe, he's a great designer. I'm actually really impressed with the games that he designs, and he was one of the main guys at Tasty Minstrel, so I hope so too. But his stuff is just so fantastic, and I'm increasingly impressed by his design, and this definitely sold me on it. And our mutual friend, he plays games, he tolerates them. He rarely gets excited about playing games. When I showed him this, he was like, this is phenomenal. This is fantastic. And he wanted to play it multiple times, and I don't blame him. This was one of and the only reason I played this game, the only reason is because I have a friend over in Tucson, Arizona, and he runs a podcast called The Legends of Tabletop. And it's like a role-playing group.
Yeah.
And a really great guy. And John is his name. And,
okay.
And I met him at the local convention there. And he said, he was like, I don't like deck building games. This game is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a good game.
And I looked at it, I was like, it doesn't look that great. I don't like space themes, like space battle themes. He was like, no, just trust me on it. And so I found it at the local bookstore, fairly inexpensive. I was like, all right, I'll buy it sight unseen, hope for the best. Played it, so glad I did. I couldn't agree more.
If this was on my records, and I had marked it down or I owned it, it probably would have made my top 100, but it didn't even make my list because it wasn't in my records.
Well, we'll have to fix that soon.
Yep. And for the final game of the night, my number 41.
This better be good.
Well, it better be because you showed it to me. It's a
It better
party.
be good.
It's a party game.
A party game. That one?
Yep.
Okay.
It's Time's Up. Specifically, Title Recalls, the version I have, and I'll show the audience my least favorite thing about it.
Yep, I don't disagree with this.
It's a freaking cube. It's annoying. You can't really stack these on a shelf, and it's empty space. There's about a filler in here about halfway just to cover all the cards. But it's a party game that you select. I think it's dependent upon the cards. I'd say 40. I can't remember.
There's always 40, but then you deal 40 out and then 2 for every person.
Yeah.
Additional.
And so we get to choose what's coming out. In essence, you have to eliminate certain numbers, but it's always 40 cards, and you choose the blue side or the yellow side to play. And if we choose yellow, it's yellow all the way through the game. And what's going to happen is the first round, you and a partner or partners you're giving clues to those the partner about what's the question is. So if it says like Game of Thrones, a character, let's say I always use this one because it was funny when we did it. Hodor. You're giving clues, so you're saying a door or Game of Thrones, that kind of stuff. You're giving clues. You can say as much as you want, but you cannot skip any of the cards. So if they're not guessing it within your time frame, which is I think is like a minute timer.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah,
I normally go 30 seconds.
Yeah, you have to pass it on to the next group, and they have the chance to change it out. If you get it right, you put it down, you count your score at the end of the round once all 40 cards have been guessed. But you got to pay attention to all the clues that have been given, because when you go into the second round, you can only give one-word clues. So you have to be, say, like thrones or the different clues that you've heard throughout the games. Mm-hmm. And this one you can pass, though. If you're not getting it, you move on to the next one. You give another one-word clue for the next one. It's fine. You just count up your points after all the cards are gone again. Whoever has the most points leads that part. You combine the first and second round score. Then you go into the third round. But this one you can't talk. This one you have to pantomime like you were playing charades to give clues. And this is where it notches up to hilarity, because some of the stuff that came up with, and I go back to this Hodor one, is that I had to run up to a door when we were playing it, and I literally held the door for you to guess it. And it actually gave us the win. It's hilarious. We've had a great time playing it. I enjoy playing it 4 players. It's me and my wife versus our friends Angel and Maria, or me and my wife versus like Bryce and his wife Nicole, and stuff like that. We have a good time playing it because it's what you expected back in the day when people were playing charades.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. There was a lot of fun with it, and you have a good time with it. So, Time's Up, Title Recall.
In Creative Chaos, I disagree. I don't think you would be bad at this game, and let's explain why. The fact that the first round you could say anything you want. Those cards that are in there, the 40 cards that were picked at the beginning of the game, they get reshuffled and passed around. So even if you don't know what they're trying to say, because they might be giving clues to just how to pronounce the game or the title, because as long as you can do that, then it's fine. But then as soon as you pull up that card, if you're the clue giver, you're going to recognize it. Go, oh, that's what they meant. Okay, a book from 1900, and then they're going to guess it. Because you still use the same clues for all 3 rounds. So a lot of the clues that were given in the first round apply to the second round, apply to the third round. And it's not just shots in the dark and guesses. You create these memes for every one of the things. And so even when you're pantomiming, even if you don't like pantomiming, it still works really well. So I couldn't agree more with this. I don't like charades. I really don't. I don't like acting in front of people like that.
Yeah.
This game is one of those exceptions. It works.
It's really good. I have a great time playing it, and there's a reason why it's in my top 50.
Yeah.
It's that good.
Exactly. So we want to thank Creative Chaos. Thank you for bringing that up. And yes, you would be great at it because of your memorization skills. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We want to thank you for tuning in, and thanks for everybody else for tuning in as well. If you ever want to join us on a live episode, it's kind of chaotic of when we film, but
yeah,
sign up for the notifications, subscribe to us on twitch.tv/everydayboardgames so you can get notified when we join online for a live episode.
As well as you can find all video re-uploads on YouTube at Everyday Board Games 2020. And if you like what we do, there are 3 things you can help us do grow on the platform. Subscribe if you're not. Like the video and comment down below and tell us your thoughts on the subject. As well as all audio versions can be found on most podcast platforms under Everyday Board Games Podcast. This includes Spotify, Google, Amazon Music, and Podbean.
And after these episodes, once we've reached episode 100, we're going to go back to our standard top 8 debates and shits and giggles and probably even some future board game breakdowns. If you have any suggestions for ideas for those topics and or debates, email us at everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com.
As well as you can contact us at our official Twitter account at EBG Podcast.
So stay tuned for our next episode, number 40 through 21. We want to thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I've been your host, Daniel.
And I've been your host, Daniel.
And we want to thank you for listening to Everyday Board Games.
And remember, every day's a good day for board gaming.